All right, here we go. It's me, Gregory Mannarino, Wednesday, July 10th, 2024, and we have to talk, people. Pre-market report. Let's start off with this. You and I have been discussing for a decade how we are witnessing the development and movement towards a new system, a whole new set of rules, and unfortunately, this is leaving people destitute. Now, this is a headline here from CNBC. Let me read this to you. The number of global millionaires is set to keep rising over the next 5 years. The number of adults owning 1 million or more is expected to grow in 52 out of 56 developed and developing economies between 2023 and 2028. Now, this is an interesting how they put this. This is partially due to natural shifts in wealth distribution as the world economy goes through structural changes. Now, things are changing, as you and I have outlined here. It's the middle class that's being systematically wiped out. Wealth is being sucked like a vampire right out of them and pushed right up to the 1 and 2 percenters. Meanwhile, the economy of the world is in free fall, but markets, let me just show you this. This is the 5 out of the last 8 trading days. Record high, record high, record high, record high, record high. Does this surprise you? No, it doesn't. Because you and I have talked about how this is not going to stop. Record high, record high, record high. More debt pumped into the system. More slaves created to the system. Dependency on the system. Meanwhile, millionaires surging around the world. You know what my greatest fear is? I'm going to tell you what Greg Mannarino's greatest fear is. That people are going to allow themselves to continue to be destroyed in this environment, not waking up to what's happening to them and why. They are locked into a sense of mental slavery, being told to believe in a system that no longer exists, and they're laughing at us. Not you and me. Not you and me, because we are understanding where this is going here. But this is so interesting. Partially due to the creation of millionaires keep rising over the next 5 years. Partially due to natural shifts in wealth distribution. It's unnatural. It's completely unnatural as the world economy goes through structural changes. Now, this structural change is obviously central bank created here. The corporate agenda is being fulfilled, and so-called world leaders leading those that believe in them, turning them into sheep, leading them to the slaughter. Now, speaking of that, on the economic front, we found out, again, no surprise, that mortgage demand is cratering. People cannot afford a down payment to buy a house anymore, so they're being forced to rent. Being forced to support someone else's future. The rich guy who owns the house, or the rich woman that owns the house in this case here. It's just completely insane. What we have to consider, people, look, the video I did yesterday seemed to really hurt some people's feelings here. I do not believe in the political system. It's all politrix, okay? Whatever figurehead they're going to put there to lead the people to the slaughter is exactly what they're doing. What I outlined yesterday was 100% the truth. We need to understand where we are being led to by whoever they're going to put behind the Resolute desk, who is going to collude with the central banks. And we have to listen carefully to what they are saying. If we realize here, I pointed out a few things. And this seemed to, again, a lot of Karens here who just can't grasp a few basic facts. Put politics aside. Trump looks like the chosen one that is coming up here. Does that hurt your feelings? I think it's making a lot of you happy here. But what's coming out of his mouth is exactly what the Fed wants to hear. Weaker dollar, You don't like that? I'm sorry. This is the guy you're putting your faith behind. He's calling for a weaker dollar. He's calling for more suppressed rates. Period. He's calling for lowering corporate tax, the corporate taxes. Does that hurt your feelings? Because it's the truth. If you don't like it, I guess you're supporting the wrong guy. It doesn't matter anyway who they put behind the resolute desk. You think it's going to change? Hell no. These things seem to be bothering people, but this is what he's saying. He was also calling himself the Bitcoin president. If you can't get your head around this, you're going to lose. My job and my biggest fear is I don't want you to lose. I want you to take these elements, put them together, and develop a plan for yourself. Okay, take advantage of where we're going. The world today is being pushed off of a financial cliff. And we got some astonishing news here from the Federal Reserve and how they may structure accounting practices of the big banks. Just hold on for that because it's incredible. We got a few minutes for that. Anyway, listen. So if we understand you and me, again, look, it's too easy that we are going to see not just currency devaluation from the Federal Reserve, but central banks around the world are going to devalue their currency as they are on a race to the bottom. If we understand that rate cuts are coming and all this is going to do is allow central banks to inflate even further, again, issue more debt through one door in the form of currency, buy it back through another in the form of buying more debt here, massively inflationary. Obviously, this is what central banks want to do. You and I have covered this since time immemorial. They want the ability to inflate even further. And yesterday was the freak show with Powell and Yellen making their case for why we need to cut rates. Again, they're setting the stage for their final solution. Their final solution is to vastly increase those that are dependent on the system, while at the same time making a lot more people rich, more millionaires. And again, I've told all of you, this two-tier society, extreme haves, extreme have-nots, for over 10 years, I've been telling you this. It's right in our freaking face. And either you're gonna fall into the politrix scheme, and my candidate, the one I'm going to vote for, is going to save the world because they walk on water. They were sent by God. If you're one of those, you might as well just, get some nails for your coffin because that's where you're putting yourself. You got to understand where they're coming from. They don't work for you. They work for the Fed. Don't take my word for this again. The last 3 presidents have inflated the debt. They've doubled the debt. The last 3 presidents have doubled the debt of the United States. The last 3. Take every single president going back to George Washington. The last 3 have doubled the debt. You think, did that help you out? You see this inflationary environment? You think it's the fault of just Biden or Trump or Obama? No, this thing has been deliberate. You can't stop. When you have a mechanism where a president working with the Federal Reserve allows this kind of debt creation, all of these bills eventually are going to start chasing the same amount of goods, and that's what we're seeing, and they're all responsible for it. But the blame game, again, they can't point their finger at the Fed. Trump points at Biden. Biden points at Trump, and vice versa, and whatever. It's because they got to keep you distracted. They cannot allow you to know the truth, because if you knew the truth, then you'd realize how twisted the whole scheme actually is. Now, let's discuss a few other things here. So again, series of record high. It's not done. This mechanism, this is the MMRI from this morning. Fed's buying all the debt. They are cutting rates now. They're devaluing the currency. As long as this goes on, what are we going to do, you and me? We're buying all the dips in the market. We're buying all the dips in gold, silver, platinum, palladium, commodities across the board, and yes, cryptocurrencies. Trump is calling himself the Bitcoin president. People take him at his word because they think there's a big opportunity for you to capitalize on all this. And currency devaluation, what does that mean for you? Commodities, what does that mean for you? A much higher stock market. What does that mean for you? A much stronger Federal Reserve. Now let's talk about the Federal Reserve while we're on that topic here. So we understand the issues with the banks, people, are monumental. And I'm here to tell you this. The issues with the banks, the financial system, is even worse. Much worse than you and I even know, because we're finding out a few things here. The Federal Reserve, obviously, is going to empower the big Wall Street institutions at the expense of the smaller institutions. Does that sound familiar to you? It's always the little guy who gets crushed as wealth is pushed up to the 1% and 2%. Now, the big banks, one of them I would avoid is Bank of America. But the other ones, the JP Morgans, the Goldman Sachs, these especially aren't going anywhere. They're going to be made even more powerful and stronger. So the Federal Reserve is coming up with something called, which I believe this is going to happen. Are you ready? The Federal Reserve is going to more than likely allow the major institutions to use mark-to-market accounting with regard to future profit. Does that sound familiar to you? Because that's exactly what Enron did. Enron, okay, was booking future profit on investments they were making now, and most of them failed anyway. So what it looks like here is another way for the Federal Reserve to help the mega Wall Street banks stay afloat longer while they consolidate the system. Mark-to-market accounting for these institutions for the banks would allow them again to book future profits on whatever investment they're making now, whether it fails or whether it succeeds. I mean, and this is, of course, is what the big executives want, because they're going to get much big, fatter bonuses, just like Enron. The financial system and the banking system is Enron right now. The world is Enron. You don't know what Enron is? Go look it up. The biggest financial bankruptcy in the history of the world. So I think this is probably going to happen. All right. The fact that this is even getting floated out there, that the Fed may allow banks to use mark-to-market accounting. For all of you out here, those economists and accountants that follow this blog, what do you think about this? Allowing the banks to book future potential profit. Doesn't mean they're going to be profitable. Put that on their books now and then benefit from that now. Pay out bonuses now on potential future profit. This should just tell you how bad it is. If it doesn't, I don't know what else to tell you. Because I think this banking crisis that we're in right now is much worse than they're allowing people to know. Actually, they're not allowing people to know a damn thing. They're telling people how great everything is. Remember, no deposits, no loans, no deals. You and I called this out before everybody else. It's a fact. This is just a mechanism to prop up the system until they issue in the new one, the new digital system. And the Fed needs an ally behind the resolute desk. And they're going to get one. They're going to get it. I guarantee you that. Anyway, people, look, that's where we stand. I want to hear from you. So what do you think? Number one, mark-to-market accounting with regard to the major Wall Street institutions. U.S. banks, again, look at this headline, face challenges. But the Fed's going to erase all that by allowing these institutions to book future potential profits. Forget about losses. Because do you think these institutions are going to make an investment now and then count that as a loss? No, they're going to count that as a profit. And of course, you can imagine what that is going to do to the banks. Probably skyrocket in values. The whole market's going higher. The faster this whole thing comes down, the higher the market's going to go. Sound familiar? I've been telling you this for years. And that's exactly where we're going to keep on going, people. But nothing's going to get by you or me. We got this covered from every angle that you can imagine. And nothing's going to get by me, which means it's not going to get by you either. Put politics aside, people. Face up to the reality that whoever they put behind the resolute desk, and in this case with Trump, he's telling you what he's going to do now. Take the man at his word. A much weaker dollar. More debt issuance by rate suppression. Corporate profits. Combined with mark-to-market accounting by the banks. Where do you think the market's going to go? Combined with the fact that he's calling himself the Bitcoin president, leading us right into a central bank digital currency. Don't you see how this is being set up? If you can't see this, you're absolutely blind. And if this upsets you, if you can't handle the truth, please unsubscribe. You don't belong here. This is a channel for winners, not for whiners and losers. You understand? All right, look, I'm out of here. This guy here loves you live from the heart. I mean that, and I got your back. I hope you're coming around and understanding what's happening to you and why. And what you need to do to take advantage of it. It's too easy. It's too easy. We can't lose. All right, with that said, I'll see you later, all right? 4 or 5 p.m. Eastern for my live stream, people. Until we meet again, take care of yourselves and each other.